to answer your question, who doesn't want it? Downsizers. That's about it, right? I've been mowing a lawn for 60 years. I'm done.
I'm blessed to be here with Andrew ROACH. I am Ross Bridges. We are doing the R&B Real Estate Show, helping you find your way home. But we're also going to put a couple spins off. Andrew brought to my attention that we're going to open up the show to other areas as well too. And I'll pass the mic over to Andrew just to kind of get us started. And I'm sure we're going to start with a little tangent, everyone.
Well, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Just chatting just off the show here beforehand a little bit about, everybody's got their ups and downs in various areas of their lives. And I think that we're all in the same boat, right? Financially, we struggle sometime, whether it's income dips or spending increases beyond what it should. Our health kind of goes down the toilet sometimes as we, sometimes it's a domino effect or a bit of a snowball where, one area is suffering. And so we look for comfort foods or whatever, or you stop working out, all those kinds of things where you don't notice it at the beginning. It's not a big deal, but after a few weeks or a few months, or maybe heck, even a few years, you do notice it. You're tired. You're just lethargic, right? You don't have the motivation. Ross, you're talking earlier about sometimes if you're not eating well, or maybe you have a couple too many drinks the night before, you just foggy headed, you just don't, you're not working optimally. Right. And I think that, you were saying, that maybe it'd be fun to talk about some of the things that work for us, right? Some of the struggles that we have had personally, that we have overcome, right? We found a solution that's worked, and maybe somebody else can benefit from that as well, right?
As we bring guests on and kind of expand our horizon onto the show, I mean, this show is to serve the public, right? I have an expression that I've always used with my clients, or even just friends, family in general, that health is wealth and wealth is also health. So by having a good financial situation, by good means, by a good routine, you actually have more control of your time if you have a routine. But I think more than anything, it's just taking care of your time. In real estate, for Andrew, for myself, for the people that we work with closely, our schedules are all over the place. It's a lifestyle choice when you become a realtor. And for fellow realtors out there, this oh so well. I'll be one to share in the future about I've had some health issues in the past that affected me big time. And we won't go down that road today, but something that we'll share, that the most important thing you have is your health. And also I like where you're going with this, Andrew, for financial fitness as well too, because I know that when my bank account is looking a little bit better, for some reason my clothes fit a little bit better too.
That's right. You got an extra hop in your step, right? You're a little bit more motivated to hit the gym or up the weights or maybe run that extra kilometer on top or something like that, right? You just
feel good about yourself, right? You get a little more mojo going.
That's right. Absolutely. Right. One of the things that I struggled with, if we're going to stay on this off-topic tangent here, was it was anxiety. I would have constant anxiety attacks that would just come out of nowhere.
And I too have battled with anxiety, forms of depression.
Yeah, I have them, they pop out of nowhere. And it was for, I don't know, maybe 15 years, that it and I didn't know where that was coming from. And I researched it and it's stress, it's this, it's that. And I'm like, I don't feel stressed though. Like, I don't there's nothing, we all know, we've always been in a situation where just something is weighing on you and you just can't get out of your head. And that's like, I would identify that as being stressed. And whether it's financial stress or, health stress or just, a relationship or any number of things can just be weighing on you, right? I mean, obviously the global pandemic is probably weighing on a lot of people right now, and people are handling this or digesting this in various ways. But I never felt stressed. That didn't resonate with me. And I couldn't have said, okay, well, it's this, right? And anyways, long story short, after like, again, like 15 years of going through these anxiety attacks, and I've just like, I would look at this and that. Of course, there's medication. I'm like, I don't want to start pumping myself full of drugs, pharmaceuticals, just to get rid of something. Obviously, this is a side effect of something else, right? This is the symptom, not the cause or whatever, right? So I stumbled across an article that I read, and it talked about excessive caffeine consumption and how it spikes your cortisol levels, right, continuously. And if you're not familiar with that, it's the hormone, or is the hormone or whatever that's released from your brain. You're kind of your fight or flight, right? It's your let's take action. And I was a heavy coffee drinker. Heavy. Like, I would easily drink 3 extra large coffees a day, but oftentimes it would be 5. On a Saturday, I drink a pot of coffee, no problem. Then I found espressos, and then it was a double espresso, and I would have maybe 3 of those, like a cappuccino, right? Double espresso cappuccino before 12. And so I thought, well, heck, I got nothing to lose here. So I decided to cut coffee out, and lo and behold, and I shouldn't say just coffee, but caffeine, right? I switched to like a green tea or a caffeine-free tea, and yeah, it was a little bit of a change, and it was harder for me to kind of take that, right? I tried the decaf coffee, and I don't know, for some reason it didn't really do it for me, right? Anyways, cut out the caffeine, and anxiety attacks went away, right? So for me, like, I've had people on Facebook, jump on and say, hey, is anybody experiencing this? Well,
tea right here. Tea.
Tea right here as well. But I've had other people jump online and say, hey, has anybody experiencing this? And I share my story. Whether I never got the feedback, right? Maybe that was it for them as well, or maybe not. Maybe they were experiencing stress from somewhere else, and they're not a heavy caffeine consumer like I was. But you know what? If there's someone listening that is a heavy caffeine consumer and that never came across, give it a shot. Drop caffeine for a month and see if it helps. See if
a standard cup of coffee has about 90 milligrams of caffeine. Okay, so
that would be like a medium.
Like a medium would have about 90 milligrams. And if you're looking at your standard cup of tea, right, caffeinated tea, you're looking at about 35 to 40 milligrams of caffeine. Okay. So, and we're all like, oh, I feel foggy. I haven't had my caffeine in the morning. Yeah. I've been drinking tea now for probably 3-4 years. And like, if I go to Starbucks, I'll get like a green tea matcha. Timmy's, I'm just getting my, I'll go for a green tea, or I'll get my orange pico. And, for someone who can completely relate to you with feeling overwhelmed, anxiety ridden, too many things to do, it's just a simple step. And the first thing in the morning too, your cortisol levels, are that in the morning. It's the best chance. You want to be hydrating yourself. Drink water first thing in the morning. Meditation has been something that's been very, very powerful for me. I don't do it every day like I should. Like I'd love to be in more of a routine, but like Andy Puttycombe, Headspace, huge believer in that. I've also studied Deepak Chopra for like releasing my mantra and allowing myself to just sit in peace, right? You don't always have to be like, so guided meditation versus just breathing. If you are feeling overwhelmed, say you're driving into work in the morning, you just listen to some easy music and focus on your breathing. Moving meditation, going for a bike ride. My pool's opening in another week or two. I can't wait to go for underwater meditation. So like a bike ride, whatever you got to do. Like, you're big in the martial arts, right? So that's your moving meditation. When you're getting there, getting out of your head and getting into your body, into your life. Also, I want to say a special shout out to my naturopath, Dr. Jason Lee. I've worked with, I'm a cancer survivor, everybody. There's a little plug from earlier. And I've worked with some of the best naturopaths and doctors out there. And for anybody on the show, if get off the medication, get onto the supplements and the vitamins. It's going to change your life, and it's going to give you better quality of life. Like, I don't know what else to say other than that, right? Health is
Yeah.
wealth, and wealth is health.
Absolutely. And you had shared the cancer thing with me earlier, and yeah, obviously naturally can't be more happy for you. My dad passed away from cancer about 7-8 years ago now. Um, I've just seen it, I felt it destroy families. I can't imagine having to go through what you went through. So but I always thought like that's one of those things that's lingered in my head, I guess I should say. Once my dad passed, I thought it was invincible, right? I mean, like, you're
Superman syndrome.
yeah, totally, right? I mean, and all of a sudden somebody's so close, and you hear about it. It always happens to someone else, right?
It happens to you. You never
Yeah.
think it's gonna be you.
No, right? And then it came so close to me, and I'm like, oh my smoke, like holy smokes, like that could be at me at any moment. And that's when I kind of really started to think about, okay, what could I, just make myself maybe more aware, right? But that's amazing, man. You talked about meditation there for a little bit. I'm gonna lie to you, I'm new to that. Trying it a little bit. Certainly not great at the routine, sticking with it every day, the consistency. But from time to time, I think when I do feel that kind of stress level, that overwhelm coming up, I'll identify that. And like you said, I think the biggest thing for me with like, what's the deal with meditation? I don't know how to do it. Like that was the big question for me. And so chime in here and correct me if I'm wrong, or just add to it. But really, it's being present. And I'm like, being present, like what the heck, being present. But if you think about like where your mind goes at every moment, right? It's what do I have to do? What do I need to do? What did I do? What's this person saying? Having internal arguments with somebody that is, you felt has wronged you. Just being on your phone at all moments of the hour, having your kids talk to you, and you don't hear them because you're plugged into your phone, or you're doing something else, and we're always looking for a distraction. You binge watch a TV show because at the end of the day, or you drink at the end of the day because it's kind of your release, right? And it's not about, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, like, it's not about clearing your head to be like, think about nothing. You're not necessarily trying to think of just white space, but it's just, again, being present. It's what do I feel? What, am I here and now, right this very moment? And that's why you said, go for a run, go for a moving one. How do you feel? Concentrating on your breathing, going for a bike ride, same idea, enjoying the outdoors. Here I am right here, right now, not thinking about anything else.
I love what you said there, like being present. Like when you're taking that sip of your tea, all you're focusing in is the flavonoids of that tea. When you're listening to the birds chirping, all you're doing, without getting too guru here, it is a coping mechanism for all of, like, for what we've battled in the last year of our lives, going through a pandemic. And I think for all those people struggling right now, home, March break, right? Their kids are going to be there. It's the art of breathing, focusing on those deep breaths and thinking of nothing else other than your breath. If you're sitting quietly, so just allowing yourself a moment for yourself. And being selfish is self-care is being selfish, and knowing that you're going to restore your body, restore your mind, and you're going to be, you're doing, think of it that you're doing it for everybody else. Because when you're present and you're the best version of yourself, you're going to be at a higher level. You're going to have a higher vibration and be able to serve those around you in a heightened way.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And not be as distracted. Be more present, have the attention span, not be short.
Better listener. Right.
Better listener, like, oh yeah, exactly, right? Less emotional, right? Less reactive, like all that kind of stuff, right? And listen, again, like I'm like, from a martial arts perspective, I'm like white belt, no stripe kind of thing, right? Like I'm just brand new at it. But it's very interesting, and I know there's a big, massive world. And for me, my struggle is, I think a lot of people are going to be the same thing, be in the same boat. My struggle is definitely going to be carving out that time, taking the time, and it doesn't have to be a long time, 10 minutes, right? Heck, it could be 5 minutes.
Could be
right?
2 minutes.
Could be 2 minutes, right? But sometimes for me, it's just like, oh, when am I going to do that? Okay, I'll do that after I do this, right? And then of course it's, I don't know, midnight after watching a few episodes of such and such, and it's okay, bedtime,
Yeah, and when people say like you don't have time, it's the best excuse to say, oh, I don't have time. You can carve out 3-4 minutes just to sit there quietly and breathe. A couple of techniques that are easy to put yourself in a better headspace. One is smile. You put a smile on your face, you share that with somebody else, that puts you in a better frame of mood. I also was listening to a comedian once, and they broke off for 1 second to talk about mindfulness, but she said something that was very powerful to me, and I hope to share this with the audience here, is step to your right. You're getting out of your brain, and you think of yourself as just taking a step to the right, and it allows yourself to get out of your mind for that. When you get into those places where you're like, oh, I'm just overwhelmed, I'm just too afraid, I'm too scared, there's too much going on. You can feel the anxiety ridden in your body. Well, just allow yourself to step away from that and just take a step to the right. And for me, and I'm going to do a second shout out here. My yoga studio, I know, Andrew, I've said this to you several times, and to pretty much anyone I probably talked to at some point, if you talk to me for longer than half an hour, I'm probably going to bring it up. I'm missing my Moto Yoga at Fairview and Appleby. Tommy, Samantha, everybody there. I mean, there's a Greg, I could probably name you all. I just want to thank you very much, and I'm missing y'all. And for me, when I was first battling my cancer, I couldn't get outside of my head. And the only place that I found salvation was on my mat. And this is like spiritual healing, being able to share this. Andrew, we didn't plan on talking about this.
I know. Are we going to talk about real estate? Maybe another day.
Well, it's nice that they can get a chance to. I'm sure there's somebody out there that's going to get something out of this, and that's what really matters, right? But finding your mat, yoga, Pilates, whatever the heck it is, whatever you got to do to, and you'll feel better about yourself. And community too, right? So.
Yeah, all that. Again, this is going to be a bit of a rabbit hole here, but you just brought up yoga. I was thinking about that, just as part of it, right? And again, doesn't have to be long. I got a great 10-minute back stretch that I do, because with my lower, I guess I've got weak glutes, or hip flexors or something like that, right? And my lower back is I'm always pulling my lower back, right? So trying to strengthen those areas so that happens less often. But a lot of times when I started getting into yoga, it's 30, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. I'm like, oh my gosh, so that was my idea. That was my thought process. But again, it doesn't have to be 10 minutes. You could go through a couple of cycles of stretches, hold them, etc. And you're good to go. And I admittedly haven't been great again of doing it consistently. But when another thing that I would get is restless legs at night. Just always having to be moving my legs, just this overwhelming just urge to move my legs, right? And I found doing, again, just taking some time, taking a couple of minutes before bed and going through a couple of stretches, even just in bed. Sometimes I'm watching TV and I'll just start stretching, right? Leg up, holding my leg, holding my hamstring, or you kind of crossing one leg, one ankle over your knee and pulling your knee in to stretch your glutes, right? Just before bed. I mean, when you're done, you feel great, right? Sometimes it's hard at the time and you kind of have a hard time breathing because you're in a weird position, but afterwards, just hold it for a while. You feel so much better, so much better.
I'm so guilty of not using my foam roller enough. I know that you do a workout and you're supposed to get out the lacrosse ball and the foam roller.
Right.
And I think that I'm missing that more than anything is from yoga. It's that deep body stretching, but the mind and body, right? And magnesium's your friend too for when you're having those cramps. Lots of magnesium and lots of liquids, my friend.
Yeah, well, liquids for sure. Magnesium, that's a new one for me. So we'll have to talk about that sometime and hear a little bit about more about that. But But yeah, I mean, so, kind of maybe wrapping back around again. I mean, we kind of started with the tangent. It certainly wasn't supposed to start this way, I don't think, but it's fun that we did. I think these are kind of some fun things that I think we'd like to talk about. I think we both have interest in them, and I certainly think that a lot of other people do. Um, this is primarily a real estate show, but that can very, very, very easily wrap into other areas of our lives because, you know, um, we're talking about, finding you a home, bringing you home, but what if it's a second home? What if it's a third home? What if it's, your fourth investment property, which is bringing in some passive income? What if it's,
Vacation home.
vacation home, right? Like, yeah, all that kind of stuff, right? If you're able to purchase a couple of extra properties, which alleviates some of that the financial stress that you might be having, maybe put you on a better road to, maybe again, I think one of the reasons why we don't eat very healthy is convenience and cost, right? I mean, grabbing a $3 hamburger, that's laden with preservatives and it's scientifically proven time and time again to be just absolutely crap for us. That somebody else made and you can pick it up in a minute is a heck of a lot easier and cheaper than going and buying some nice quality organic meat or making a nice salad that's going to cost you $12, right? And it's going to take you time to make it. I mean, I get it. I'm guilty of it myself, right? But if you have a little bit of extra income, maybe you're okay with spending a little bit more money on a better quality food, maybe that gym membership, maybe that program, maybe that whatever your new pair of shoes, that excuse that's going to get you out running again, or whatever the case may be. I know that in the past, some of the reasons why I didn't make the best, either health choices, I guess mostly, was for cost, right? Because it's kind of is expensive or it can be expensive to eat healthy, right? And make the right choices. And then, like you said earlier, right, when you're kind of feeling down and unmotivated, you go to the comfort foods. You don't really want to, take the time and think about what you want to eat for tonight and go and make it. And, it's an hour and a half process. And then, and at this stage of your life, the kids are like, I don't like it. You're like, all you think back of is like how much you didn't even want to do it in the first place. You finally got it. It cost you a lot more than you wanted it to, and nobody wants to eat it.
Yeah, there's so many principles in there. I mean, like the time, the money, the energy, like the value proposition of, I can just go through McDonald's right now and spend $10 and everybody's quiet and fed.
Right.
Versus that's gonna, by the time I'm done grocery shopping and I make the meal, that's going to be 2 hours of my time. So yeah, I mean, food prepping, there's another show. We could probably bring a guest on for that.
Yeah.
But I think one thing, and I think like what you talked about there too, like looking out for people's best interests. I like the idea of this being more than just a real estate show, right? When I did say earlier, health is wealth and wealth is health. When we are talking about homes, I'm actually going to talk about real estate for a minute here. Andrew, we can always come back, but I think about us as also, you have your financial advisor. Well, for most people listening to the show, including myself, probably you, our largest asset is our home, right? So I do think of our homes as a business, right? In terms of like, we pride ourselves on being real estate financial advisors, right? So when you're feeling like you have good financial IQ and you're in a good situation, then you're making a lot, but your mind is clear, and it all ties, it's all cyclical. They all tie together, where you're making better decisions, you're more prepared, you're sleeping better, and they all coincide. Less stress. Like, you think why people get sick? It's a combination of our environment. It is the quality of sleep, our exercise, which is one of the best multivitamins we can ever take. It's all this good quality stuff. Vitamin D. We suffer throughout these long winters. Thank the Lord that spring is upon us, because that was a long one, pandemic winter that we just all went through. So like, I think at the end of the day, like it's feeling like you have a plan, right? You have a plan. Morning routine. You and I have both talked about like the miracle morning, where you start your You're like, I was up at 5:30 this morning. I had a great start to the day. I bike ride back from my girlfriend's home to here, which was maybe a 10-minute bike ride, but it was a nice way to start the day.
Yeah, yeah.
And that put me into a better frame of mind, right? Had a very anxiety-ridden day. Had some very successful clients. They won in competition, bought a beautiful home in West Oak Trails in Oakville for
Nice.
1.6. Aaron Rain, who's been with me longer than anyone on my team right now. We had a beautiful listing in Mississauga appointment we want to. We got the listing that'll come on the market. So our days, you never know where they're going to come from, right? You never know what you're going to be facing next. So it's having a plan, blocking your time, having a plan so that that was a good tangent I went on there. I think I covered a whole giant spectrum of different things, but yeah, I'm glad that we're talking this out. This is nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, we're going to get back in, if we're going to wrap back around again to real estate here, because I think that was our opener. What is that? Like, this is going to be like a 25-minute opener. But, some of the things that you kind of talked about, this market here and winning in competition. That's kind of some of the things that I wanted to chat about today was just, again, we talked about in the last show, just kind of what the real estate market is doing. I think we can continue that a little bit, maybe touch on high level, some investment real estate, et cetera. But, I think the one of the challenges right now, of course, has been pricing. And we are seeing a softening in the market, and a little bit of softening on price. But I think that some buyers out there, at least I got a handful of buyers right now that I'm working with, that see the softening and think, okay, well, this is an opportunity to lowball everybody. And we're just not there yet, right? I mean, I think that day will come when the market will come down lower.
Yes.
But I think we have to still be realistic as to what market value is for a home. Right. And, how long are you willing to spend running around, submitting offers below market value before you just say, okay, fine, I'll just buy a home. Right. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody's up against a timeline to one degree or another. Whether that timeline is long or short, you still have a timeline, right? So I think just, when you choose a realtor, that make sure they know the area like very well, especially in a market like this that's changing very, very quickly, especially in a market like this that's changing very, very quickly. And because we're seeing pockets, we're seeing types of homes or pockets of areas that are either not selling or still going in crazy multiple offers, right? You'll have house A that has 10 offers on it and house B that's similar that has 1, right? Why is that? There's a reason. And to be able to identify what that reason is and be able to say, okay, well, let's if everyone's going to be looking for, okay, there's a couple of things everyone's going to be looking for right now. It's going to be the pretty home, because everybody likes the pretty home. Like the inventory is high enough now that buyers have choice, right? So everyone's going to run around to the pretty home. So if there's one that doesn't look quite as nice as you might want it to, keep in mind, especially, listen, we're big staging advocates. There's a big reason why staging works. On the flip side, when I'm working with my buyers, let's look past the staging. Yes, the staging's pretty. I agree. We use the staging as well. However, when you move in, it's going to be a vacant home.
Look at the walls.
Look at the walls. Look at the floors.
Turnkey
right?
homes will always sell way, like I find in my experience, coming up on my 12-year anniversary here in real estate, turnkey homes always have more attention. People want to, like, you got a young family, your target audience on that home is far significant, far greater. You're looking at people that are like, oh, I don't have to worry about finishing the basement, young family, everything's finished, perfect. So instead of there being 6 offers on a home, you could be looking at 10 or 12. And then we come back to, as we talked about in different areas, like, yeah, I'm a big believer, community. We always talk location, but like the schools, the surrounding, people want to be closer to the water. They want the new builds. They want everything. At the end of the day, you're going to build more equity in a home that over time you can make it your own. I'm a big believer in phases. Phase one, let's secure you that beautiful canvas. Let's buy the house. Let's buy a home where you have a great backyard and you're getting exactly what you want, or the layout. That's the space. It's very expensive to expand on that space, right? So if you're going to open up the walls and everything, that's going to be a lot more cost effective than if you're going to blow out the back of your house or you're going to build up, right? So where can we realistically look to help you build the most equity, get the most return on your investment, return on your time as well too? Like you said at the beginning of this segue, we are seeing a softening in the market. And like you and I discussed on previous episodes, oh, a little bit of wag the dog going on. We got people saying, oh, the markets are going to come down lots. And the banks and the government and the appraisal and the media, they're all, there's some cahoots going on there where they want to ensure that obviously we're being realistic. Our prices, as you and I discussed, have gone up pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to see, heaven forbid, we talked about more of a balanced situation where there's going to be more. I anticipate a lot of homes coming on the market in the next month or two. So for you people that are frustrated and you want to enter into the market, for you millennials out there, people new to the country, great opportunity. The people that I just helped buy in West Oak Trails, brand new to the country, beautiful, beautiful family, and they got an amazing home. And the big thing for anyone right now is let's get you pre-approved. Let's get you out there. It's a process. Let's get you educated so that, whether you're in Milton, Oakville, Burlington, we have people on our team that will take you to the surrounding areas. I know you've been doing a lot up in Kitchener, Cambridge, right? So, at the end of the day, don't be waiting and going, oh, well, the markets could be at a low point in the next month or two. And the only way you're going to know back is looking back at what has happened in the last 3-6 months, right?
Yeah.
So to get started and to be analysts, and we're part of a team, we want to give you as much information as we possibly can so that you can make an educated decision. There's a lot of information out there, but again, we're advisors. We have a lot of experience. And at the end of the day, that's why you need us to help you navigate through the process of buying a home, is because of our experience.
Yeah. And so, I just wanted to wrap back and touch on, a couple of things you said there, at least one anyways. You reiterated that there's a softening. A softening is not a correction just yet. It's to your point about getting pre-approved. Okay, great, you're pre-approved, and let's just say, you're pre-approved to 750. Okay, and you're going to be buying something that's your kind of first-time buyer. Your benchmark is 750. Take the advice and the recommendations of your realtor that knows the area that you're working in, and say, when they tell you this house is going to sell for 775, putting in an offer at 730, 740, 745, or even going all top of your line 750 is going to do nothing but make it sell for more, right? Because if there's other offers on the table, they're not going to just be like, oh, I only got 2 offers. Okay, well, I guess I'll sell it below market value, right? They're going to be like, the other one's sold, right? And so they might not sell in a day or 2 or 3, whatever, when they were holding offers, because everybody's still listing. I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people majority are still listing low, holding offers. But there are enough comparables now that we have, I think, plateaued in the market, softened a bit. Certainly from the peak, like Ross, like you said, the only way you're going to know where the bottom is or where the top was is a few months from now, when you look back and you say, okay, now we see it, that was the top. And from this point, from this date, right, which is, what was the date today? August 8th or April 8th, sorry. We look back, we can say, okay, well, the peak was, end of February, early March, right? Like that 2-week-ish period there, that was probably the pinnacle of where we hit the peak. We softened from there, but it hasn't continued, right? So there's enough that are continually selling at market value in their range, where you're not going to have these big outlier swingers. You're not going to have the house that everyone else is selling for 775. It's the exact same model, and they got 810. And you're not going to have the 775 and it sells for 750 or 740, right? It's just very unrealistic. I mean, I suppose it could happen. I mean, if it's a numbers game, if you go and you put in 100 offers on on houses, maybe, who knows? Maybe you might get one. But
except for when you have clients that say to you, "Well, oh, I should have bought when we first started looking," and then we're reluctantly saying, "Well, yeah, I mean, the longer this goes on, you could be looking for less house for more money, right?"
well, and that certainly happened. Absolutely, that happened.
Here's the other thing too. We talk about corrections. So you're going to wait and wait and wait, and homes are going to go up another 4 or 5%, and then they're going to come down 1 or 2%. Well, did you win? It's we can all do as much analytical background and research as we possibly want, but real estate is a science and an art.
Absolutely.
So for going out there and to actually feel the home, to see the homes, to get educated on the whole process could take a couple months. You could be figuring out, I don't know if I want to live between Milton and Burlington. Right. I don't know, what's the best neighborhood for we got to do a little research on schools, or what's my commute going to look like? Time is the most important thing we have. So at the end of the day, there's so many variables that let's go out and get you educated, and it's a process.
It is, like you said, it is a process. And like I said at the beginning, right? Like, make sure the realtor you chose, if it's not Ross or myself, for some reason, that they are, that they're full-time, experienced. And I don't mean like experienced, like, yeah, I've had my license for 10 years and I do 2 transactions a year. I mean, like,
or 30 years and they don't really want to work.
They don't really want to work, or whatever, or you just, they're a friend, your coworker's husband or your coworker's wife, and that's why you're, just make sure that they do a lot of business in the town or the city that you're looking to buy in or sell in, for that matter, right? And that they know what they're doing, and at that point, let them be the expert. Right? Take their advice. Just like if they were to go to your work and go into your profession, you wouldn't expect them to tell you, how things are done, right? And there's enough. Yes, there's a lot of media out there, and there's a lot of chatter, and there's a lot of opinion about real estate. I mean, real estate is probably like everyone's favorite topic. Everybody loves talking about real estate. Right. So there's a lot of information out there, but at the same time, there is sometimes so much information that the context gets skewed, or it's misunderstood, or it's too broad and not relevant at the micro level. Right. I mean, we talked about this, Ross, before about, information about the Canadian real estate market. Right. And we talked about how do you paint the Canadian real estate market with one single brush, right? It's every market is different. Every, coast to coast, every market is different. And all around the GTA, all around the GTHA, you can have submarkets that are different. And you can't just feel like the Canadian real estate market or the GTA real estate market. It's, it's too general,
Like, and you might know 1 or 2 neighborhoods, like, oh, I really want to be in this neighborhood or that. Okay. And then you find out you can't afford that neighborhood. Well, we want to be educating you on your next best options, right? And when you, like, I've learned so much from my clients over the years, and we all have such a wealth of knowledge. Like, I'm learning from you right now, Andrew, and like passing it forward. But, when you go out to do this, like the experiences, and you learn from every experience you go through, whether you're dealing with the appraisals or the banks, or, oh, there's a mold issue in the home, or all of these different facets that you couldn't even possibly imagine that we've gone through, right? And you might even have a little fun along the way, and you might even learn something, right? But more importantly, it's something that you're going to, it's an education on the future of your home. And we want to get, even if you buy a home in competition, getting you a home inspector after the fact to educate you on the maintenance of your home. I mean, it might just be a condo, but it could very easily be your townhouse or detached home. And you got to understand that there's a lot of stuff that goes on other than just moving your furniture into the house.
Yeah, for sure. There's a ton that goes on, and like you said, knowing the area, you know, what's around, the proximity to stuff, how the prices change from neighborhood to neighborhood and why, right? Up and coming neighborhoods, right? I mean, there's a neighborhood in Milton, Bronte Meadows, that for years, as soon as I saw the trend of Timberley take off and then Dorset Park take off, I said the next one to boom is going to be Bronte Meadows, and everyone's like, Bronte Meadows, oh, Bronte Meadows is like a dive, like nobody wants to live in Bronte Meadows. And boom, sure enough, right, a couple of years later, tick 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 tick. Why? Because there was a trend happening. There's a trend happening where all around Milton you have builders coming in and building big houses, or even medium-sized houses, but on a postage stamp lot, right? The tiny little lots. The lots are getting smaller and smaller and smaller as the province is demanding urban intensification, right? Increased population density. So, and what do people want, especially in Milton? Milton's a young family, the second youngest town or municipality in Canada, or at least Ontario, anyways. You know, they want to raise the family, raise their kids with a yard, right? They want to have a pool. They want to have some outdoor space. They don't want to live, you don't want this tiny little minuscule backyard that, you know, even a dog has having a hard time being out in the backyard, right? You know where I'm going with that, anyways. You know, so naturally, you look at the older neighborhoods where the lot sizes were bigger. You could see that trend happening, and sure enough, you know, these tiny little rundown bungalows are being torn down and something big is being built, or they're, you know, extensively being renovated. And, you know, just look at the trends. The real estate market, you know, it's almost predictable, and it's a slow moving ship. Sometimes it's like an iceberg, or an iceberg. What's it called?
Submarine?
No. I'm drawing a blank. A glacier is what I was trying to say. An iceberg. You know, just kind of creeping along, right? But at the same time, you know the direction that it's moving, right? You know, if you're used to like fast moving stuff like the stock market or something else, and you're like, you know, things are moving all over the place, sometimes it can be painfully slow waiting for the real estate market to happen, right? I mean, years like this past year are absolute anomalies in the grand scheme of things. And yes, they've happened a few times in the last decade, but that doesn't happen normally, right? Normally it's just a, you know, 3, 4, 5% kind of increase depending on where you are. If you're in smaller markets, maybe it's a 2% increase, maybe it's flat, right? We own some investment properties in the family up in a small town up north, and the appreciation there has been pretty much nil, with the exception of a handful of years where the Toronto market just explodes and then people are going and looking elsewhere, and you'll have a small blip in appreciation. But other than that, you're looking for cash flow up there, right? And that's going to take us into investment real estate very quickly. I don't know if we have time for it to go down that massive rabbit hole, but
that's another episode, I think.
Yeah, but you know, just you can see the trends, right? You can see, you know, where would be an up and coming neighborhood and why. What area is kind of lagging everywhere else, and might be turning around, or what area is gentrifying. You know, there's
for like, so what you're talking about, like up in, it was Bronte Meadows you were talking about, right?
Yeah.
In Milton. And so progression, right? What you touched on there was progression, where we've got these big, beautiful lots. The homes are a little bit older. They're reaching a point now where we're going to start to see some tear downs in the neighborhood, some new builds, or some complete renos, some gut jobs, some, you know, people are putting a lot of money into their home. They're building up on it, building back, like I talked about earlier. And that's where you want to go, where the progression is, right? For me, like in Burlington, like I'm very blessed to live in Roseland, great neighborhood. I bought in here 7 years ago, Elizabeth Gardens. You've
Yeah.
got these
Nice.
big sprawling lots just on the border of Burlington, Oakville, and on the border of cities. I find there's a lot of attraction. Like I could talk about Oakville, Clearview, right on the border of Oakville, Mississauga. Those homes are at a point now. We've got an emergency alert in the background. Those homes are going to go through a lot of progression, and they're right on the border of Oakville, Mississauga. So that's going to have a lot of attention over the next 5-10 years, where it's hard to talk while I'm listening to this emergency alert.
Thankfully, mine hasn't gone off yet. Why should come?
But that's one location. I mean, I think that like when you're looking for neighborhoods, if you're not looking for those beautiful new neighborhoods like you talked about in Milton, or I think of like Alton Village or Orchard. I mean, the Orchard gets a lot of attraction because the homes are still young, and the schools are great. I mean, I was blessed to grow up in Southeast Oakville, so you get the best of both worlds, where you get the most amazing schools, and you also get these big, beautiful lots. And 80% of the homes have been torn down, and there's been some magnificent builds there. So progression is something you always want to be looking for, as an investor with your plans for your future, for your home. Who doesn't want a bigger lot? Who doesn't want a bigger backyard? And the potential to, even if you're like, I live in an old side split. I got a huge lot, but I live in an old side split. It's nice to have all that space, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think to answer your question, who doesn't want it? Downsizers. That's about it, right? I've been mowing a lawn for 60 years. I'm done.
And great time for downsizers to cash out and look for a better quality of life. Maybe that vacation home in Florida to go along with their condo in Milton or Burlington or Oakville, right?
That's right. Yeah. And on that note, I was chatting with a client yesterday who wants to buy an investment property, budget around 750 or so, right? And I just let them know, hey, listen, that is a very competitive price point, because you're going to be getting, you're going to get first-time buyers, right? Millennials, second-time buyers moving out of a condo. They may be looking for from townhouse or something like that. You're going to get, first-time buyer, or you're going to get investors. Sorry, that's an affordable price point from an investment perspective. And then again, you're going to get baby boomers, right, that are downsizing, that are looking to, sell the big house and get into something a little bit smaller, a little bit lower maintenance, right? So it's a very competitive price point. Right? As you get kind of that price point gets attacked by like three different angles by three, well, at least two very, very large cohorts, and then a third is pretty sizable too, as in the investor world, right? So just be, I don't know, be patient in that space, at that price point. And dare I say, don't be overly picky. I know that it's going to be a home, right? But look for location that works for you, and then just look maybe beyond the cosmetics, if that makes sense, right? Like you want to look at like the good bones. You want to make sure that the house is good, but a coat of paint, some new floors, right? You change out some trim, maybe you update the kitchen and stuff like that. But like, those things can be done over time and will improve the value of the home long term, right?
And like to touch on what you said earlier with like the segments of the market, right? Like if you're looking at it like, oh, the markets are softening and I've got an opportunity to go in at this price point and it's a turnkey home and well, it's not a realistic outlook to think that you're going to get it at list price. If your budget's 750, then we might be sending you homes that are listed like significantly lower than that, because at the end of the day, now the condos are a little bit easier to buy than if you're looking for a townhome or detached. But yeah, I love what you said about continuing to build your equity, changing the flooring, putting in some pot lights, paint. If you want to do some painting the staircase, right? It gives it a fresh pop and it feels like a new home. I think of the Foresters, some of my dear friends, they bought this beautiful home out in Hamilton, gorgeous home. And we went to it 3 or 4 times. And I loved this home for them. The layout was gorgeous and everything. They couldn't see past it. And I'm like, we redo a little bit of the kitchen with some paint and we paint the walls. And this is going to look like a brand new home. And lo and behold, they did that. And this was a mini makeover that cost them probably $5,000-6,000.
Yeah.
And you were blown away by the transformation that home had just with some paint and a little bit of lighting, right? So
Yeah, I mean, paint is probably going to be like one of your biggest ROIs, right? It doesn't cost a lot. I mean, heck, you could do it yourself if you want. It's not the type of thing that, like, I mean, not a lot of people can really butcher painting. I mean, sure, I guess the hardest part would be like, cutting in around the trim and the ceiling line. That's where you can maybe go bad if you're not patient. But that can be one that can be a really, really good return on investment. Doesn't cost you a lot and can very easily just change the whole feel of the house. Flooring, same idea. Certainly costs a lot more, don't get me wrong, but you can get some good quality, good high quality laminate. Actually, you can get some laminate that costs more than hardwood. But doesn't damage, looks good, has like a hand scrape look, or like looks very modern and trendy and all that kind of stuff, and is super durable. All these things like that, and they can be done in stages, right? I mean, heck, you could even do flooring in stages, right? You can have flooring guys come in and do one floor one day or one weekend or whatever, and then maybe a month later when you saved up again, do the next batch. But you can do that. Right? It doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to buy this house and I have to drop 60 grand all at once. I don't have that money. Furthermore, that just jog my memory, there's programs called Purchase Plus Improvements, right? Where you can buy a house that maybe needs a little bit of work, right? Let them know, let the lender know, I plan on doing paint, flooring, kitchen reno, and pot lights. Let's just say that, right? That's what I'm going to do. And it's going to cost me $45,000. I'm going to make that up too, right? You can say, you can go and get a line of credit, pay for those renos. And then when that's done, you submit to the lender, and the inspector will come by, verify that yes, those were done. And then they will give you that money back as part of your mortgage to pay off the other loan, right? And then you're done, right? Now you basically just bought that house essentially, renovated. Yeah, you had to do the work yourself, but generally would probably pay less for it than you would have if it was all fancy done nice. Put a little bit of work in it yourself, or a little bit of your own time and energy, but that's another option, another way of kind of doing it, right? If you have that the access to some additional funds or something like that to get that stuff done.
I want to add one thing to that. So, I mean, if you've been living in your home for a while, I know Andrew and we both have great stagers, interior designers. If you want to give your home a fresh look, maybe you're considering moving in the next year or two, and you still want to enjoy the home that you're currently in, right? We could have somebody come in, do the old what's it called? The storybook where they go over the color schemes and everything for you, light and bright, right? And I couldn't agree more with what you said about doing things in phases. But if you're looking for you're going to be in your home for another year or two, and you want to give it a fresh pop, right? Then we could send you out somebody that's going to give you a brand new perspective on your home, and it'll be fun too, right? I mean, with everything that we got going on, you want to be happy in your environment, and that's probably a good topic for us for another day. I think we've gone through a smorgasbord of information here today. I've loved it. This has maybe been my favorite episode with you. And I think it's nice that we're not just having to talk about real estate, right? We're talking about a little bit of everything under the sun, and we're hoping that you guys really enjoyed this episode.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it went the way that we initially planned. I'm not even sure if we really touched wholly on all the things we were going to talk about, but like you said, it's nice to kind of go a little bit out off key, if you a little bit. And those are topics that are very interesting to me, and I think that they're interesting to a lot of other people, and I'd be totally game for touching on some of those from time to time and dedicating a show to non-real estate related stuff, but stuff that's I think applicable to most people anyway.
Love it. And just to give you perspective and give you something to think about, right? So hopefully we've done some enlightening, and if anything, maybe improved your health and wealth.
There you go.
Long term.
So 2 tips that we can take away that I can think off the top of my head. Sorry. Cut back on caffeine if you're having any anxiety issues. And stretch. Do some bedtime just before bed stretching, or an early morning. Drink a big glass of water. Get that hydration going.
Thank you everyone for listening. Again, I'm Ross Bridges, blessed to be here with Andrew Roach. We are the R&B Real Estate Show, helping you find your way home.